Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I am Judah. I'm truly excited to speak to you today about the 1971 hippie exploitation film. I never thought I'd ever say that. Known as I Drink Your Blood. The whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, when are they going to get to the drinking the blood? The title alone drew me to this movie because of the absurdity. Now, that comes into play in some ways. They felt that this needed to be a double feature, so they threw it on with another film called I Eat Your Skin. Now, I have not seen I Eat Your Skin, but when I read about it, it's a zombie film, and that to me makes a little more sense because zombies generally do eat your skin. The original title of I Drink Your Blood was meant to be Phobia. Now, the reason it was meant to be Phobia, we will get into a little later. So they switched it up and they retitled it I Drink Your Blood so that they could do a double feature of I Drink Your Blood and I Eat Your Skin, which I personally think is fantastic, even if I Drink Your Blood makes no sense in regards to this movie. Let me just read you a quick little explanation that I found on Wikipedia. I Drink Your Blood is a 1971 American hippie exploitation horror film written and directed by David Durston, produced by Jerry Gross. There we go. Jerry Gross had that. Jerry Gross was the one who did the other film, I Eat Your Skin. Instead of giving David Durston a cut of the profits because it was going to be a double feature with I Eat Your Skin, apparently they doubled his director fee and he got that instead. So double payment for his director fee, but no percentage of the actual gross of the film. Starring, I don't know how to say this, guys, but Oscar Roy Chowdhury. Oh my gosh, I butchered that so bad. He's an Indian actor, and that does not excuse my butchering of his name. I am so sorry. He's no longer alive, but I am so sorry to whoever may still be alive and related to this man. Side note, apparently he wanted to be a boxer, and he was going down that path for his life's journey, but in some kind of match, he got his front teeth chipped, and then he decided to change his vocation and became a professional dancer. That to me is very funny. How you go from wanting to be a professional boxer, then pivoting into becoming a professional dancer is very funny to me. But he did it. Apparently he was pretty successful as far as that goes. The film centers on a small town that is overrun by rabies-infected members of a satanic hippie cult after a revenge plot goes horribly wrong. Tell me, the name alone, but then you read that, rabid satanic hippies. How could you not watch this movie? I mean, that just screams peak entertainment. Let's watch this trailer. We'll get into some interesting information. I have no idea what the budget of this movie was, but I found it for that 1971 feel. I enjoyed the feel. The movie did not necessarily draw me in. There were several things that I found to be very as far as the representation of people. There was a couple, well, there was one scene that definitely came off as a rape scene, which really disturbs me. I can't tolerate that kind of thing. It seems very, it's just doesn't work for me. And I don't think in general it works for people. I'm not saying there are people that are out there that enjoy watching rape, though we all know there are some devious people out there who do. But seeing somebody have that kind of thing forced upon them, it's very difficult for me to watch. And it definitely is not entertaining to me. And then there was this very weird, to say it was rape, I think is a little strong, but there was a woman who definitely invited a gangbang as far as I would interpret it. And that came off as very gross to me, very stereotypical. There's these, what do you want, construction workers that are kind of living in this compound that are taking care of this big construction job. That's how it came off anyway. And this woman comes in. She's not a prostitute or anything. She's part of this satanic hippie group. And she was just like, yeah, bring it on, boys, every one of you. It really grossed me out. Anyway, on to the trailer. I will be pausing and talking over it. Let's have fun. Let's nitpick.
The biggest, bloodiest.
Right there. Biggest, bloodiest. According to what I read, this was one of the very first. Some people claim it is the first. But from what I don't know, but this was, if not the first, one of the first movies to ever get an X rating. And not because of nudity, but because of violence. Also, excessive toothpaste on the mouth. We just can't tolerate that kind of thing in this society. I mean, he's got toothpaste dripping out of his nose right now. It's disgusting. Where are the censors when we need them?
Horror show in history. I drink your blood.
I even love, well, here's that fantastic pause right on the rape scene. That fantastic 70s music in the background. The graininess of this film. I love all of that. Again, the movie did not necessarily do a lot for me in any capacity. There was things that I found very funny as far as their choices for the movie, but on a whole, I did not find it entertaining. I wouldn't watch it again. I would only recommend this to our hardcore horror fans. And there is a very specific group of people out there who love these exploitation films. And I would say that this is probably a good one for you to be watching. I also read that it has become a cult classic within that genre of its own. And I always find it funny to stumble across what are considered cult classics. And I watch it, I'm like, cult classic? This is just trash. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh, X-rated. There we go. First, they edited it. They cut scenes from the film to get it down to an R rating. They're about to clue you in onto the revenge portion of this movie. And I got to tell you, I like this. This is like some crap that if I was, this is the kind of passive aggressive crap I would pull, honestly. Let's see if they talk about it. Okay. Well, the reality is, yes, this child did, in fact, infect these meat pies with the blood of a rabid dog, which to me, I'm like, dude, this kid, good thinking on his part. So first of all, his sister was the one who's raped by this group of satanic hippies. I would have guessed, honestly, right off the top, that this was written by somebody who just hates hippies and they wanted to help propel that hatred for hippies. But from what I read, it was based off of a story of a group of children in a different country that had contracted rabies, also inspired in part by Charles Manson and his group of people. So it wasn't a hate for hippies in general. It was these two stories that this director or writer had seen, and he felt that that would make a good horror movie. So these satanic hippies raped this boy's sister. Then it appears that they live with their grandpa. Their grandpa is about to take the law into his hands. And he goes into this hotel that the hippies have taken over. This town that they're in is being torn down for some reason. So these hippies break into this old hotel. They're taking it over. The grandpa goes there with his gun. He's ready to, kick some butt and chew bubble gum. And he fails at both portions of this. He goes in, literally allows himself to just be overpowered without even once firing his gun, which was very frustrating to me. They force him to take LSD, and he starts going crazy. The little boy comes and saves him. But as revenge against these hippies, the boy goes out. He knows of a rabid dog. He kills the rabid dog. He then extracts the blood. And the one bakery that is still open that apparently only makes meat pies, that I found very funny. They only make meat pies. He goes in and then fills the meat pies with the blood of this rabid dog and sells them to these hippies. They eat it and become infected. I actually thought this was I was like, wow, I like that. This is a good plan. I like this plan. From what you gather, the kid did not realize that they were going to go rabid. He thought it would. Who knows what he actually thought was going to occur, but things go really bad. I like this. Now, as I was watching this movie, I intended to talk about, this is one of those movies where they hurt animals. They kill animals. And it's before that time when they're like, wait, you can't be doing this. But there is, for sure, a lot of movies that kill, hurt, and torture animals for real for these movies. And if that happens in a movie, I'm like, no, I cannot give this movie any kind of good rating simply because they tortured and killed animals for this movie. Now, what I was reading, there is a scene where they slit the throat of a chicken. That was the first encounter where I was like, oh, they're really killing these animals for this. And according to what I read, the director says that no animals were harmed for this movie except the chicken. That is still enough for me to say I can't recommend this movie because they literally just killed this chicken just for the sake of this movie. For full disclosure, I am a vegetarian. So getting on board with that is a little difficult. I am not an evangelical vegetarian. I am not going to try to force those views on you. These are my personal convictions, and I do not hate or belittle anybody else out there who eats meat. However, killing an animal simply to save money on a movie, that I will not tolerate. There's also a scene with rats where I was like, oh, those are real rats that they just threw on a barbecue. And a scene where they were dragging around a dead goat whose throat was slit. So unless they can, again, it was a real goat and its throat had really been slit. Unless they can tell me that that goat was being readied for butchering and they just were like, hey, that goat that you have hanging over there that hasn't been skinned yet, that you just slit its throat, can we use it in a movie? It seems to me like that goat was killed specifically for this movie. Don't know. Now, in regards to the rats, apparently they were trained rats that then went on to be used in the movie Willard. But the rats that they threw on the barbecue, from what they said, came from a lab, and they were already dead. They were lab rats. They were already dead. But, of course, because they were being experimented on, again, I do not approve of animal experimentation. And they painted, because they are white rats, they painted them brown to match the trained rats. And so those were definitely real rats they chucked on the barbecue. Really gross. Anyway, let's get back to this trailer. Let's see if I can say anyway. Let's play a drinking game. How many times do I say anyway in this review?
I drink your blood, will make your blood curdle and your skin crawl.
There's those rats I was talking about. You know those are real rats. Ooh, right on the barbecue. That worked perfectly. That's what I'm talking about. That's really grosses me out. They allude to the fact that these hippies are going to eat these things. Blech. That's the woman who willingly invited a gangbang from 12 men. Very odd to me. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. Oh my gosh. That was fantastic. That was so hilarious. To show these things like the electric knife and the axe, and then to show this woman spraying the hose. Oh my gosh, that was so freaking hilarious. Let me give some clarification for those of you who don't know this. When you get rabies, for some reason it affects your brain and you have an extreme phobia for water. It's the weirdest thing. When I found this out, I was like, wow, that's weird, which is what causes the foaming of the mouth, because of the lack of water in your body trying to help you with that situation. And that's usually, from my understanding, that's usually where the death occurs, is from dehydration, because you're so afraid of it you can't drink or anything. It sounds horrible. So part of this movie, which was so funny, is you have these rabid, I'm going to just call them zombies, these rabid people coming after you. And these guys, they like get into this creek and they start splashing water on these rabid people, and they're just freaking out and running away. And then in that scene that they just showed, this lady gets the hose and starts spraying them down. So funny. It was so funny. Adult horror. Well, for the most part, that's what this movie has to offer. Satanic hippies terrorizing a town, some freaking construction workers that can't keep it in their pants and they get rabies. They get an STD, rabies. They become rabid from this having sex with this chick that has rabies. I'm curious if that is legit. I'm not interested in looking it up, but I am curious. Has anybody out there ever gotten rabies from having sex with maybe like a rabid hooker or something? Please leave your comments in the section below. I'd love to hear your story. It's not something to laugh about. This is serious stuff. That goes back to what I was telling you. The original title was supposed to be Phobia. And the reason it was going to be called Phobia is because when you have rabies, you get a fear of water. Overall, because of the killing the animals, the ones that I feel were purposely killed, not necessarily the rats that were already dead, but we discussed that already. I can't give this more than like a 4 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it simply because of the animal killing. But if the exploitation type movies are your thing, from what I read, this is a classic, and it has been reshown several times because of its classic nature. Classic nature. Like I said once before, cult classic only means that the weirdos who enjoyed the movie found each other, and they were all like, hey, let's call this a classic. I mean, that it means that general audiences think this is trash. I think it is what it is. This is the kind of movie I was looking to watch, sans animal mutilization. But if that was not in this, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10 simply for the feel that it gave me. This is what I was looking for at that time. The title alone, I think, should bump it up to a 6 out of 10. Let's check out IMDb. As you can see, it has a 5.9 out of 10. That's an average score for most people. So that pretty much aligns. If you take out the animal mutilation from this, I said I'd give it a 6 out of 10. So that pretty much aligns with what the general consensus is. This is from Krug Stillo. He left this review on May 29th, 2003. Gives it a 10 out of 10. I adore this film and discovered recently that the unabridged version with cast interview and a commentary by the director David Durston and the lead hippie, not going to say his name, I already butchered it, is soon to be released. I heard this overdue event has something to do with David Schultz, the genius who almost single-handedly rescued Craven's Last House on the Left from obscurity and placed it amongst the best of the 70s horror classics. The story concerns a group of satanic hippies. Who are given rabies-infected pies, then go on a killing spree in an almost deserted little town. There are moments of unintentional humor. The dialogue and direction occasionally venture in the why did they say that or do that more than a few times. The incoherent plot twist also added a nightmarish quality to the film, obviously influenced by the morbid interest in the Manson murders during that era. Yes, if you haven't seen I Drink Your Blood but have a strong affection for those low-budget horrors of the early and mid-70s, then prepare for the forthcoming DVD. Prepare for the forthcoming DVD. I personally can't wait. I did mention the connection to the Manson murders, but what I did not mention is because of the time frame that this had happened, that the director was purposefully hoping that he could use get his movie propelled further by the interest of the media's, portrayal of the Manson murders. And that was one of his main reasonings was, I'm going to try to piggyback this off the already wave of people who are interested in this topic. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, in a very technical way, that is a brilliant move. But at the same time, it's very exploitive. How dare an exploitation movie be exploitive? I am offended at this. Anyway, let's look at one more. Let's see somebody who hated this movie. About the worst piece of stinking garbage ever seen. Shocking? Nope. Gross? You bet. Seems everyone in this film and behind the lens is tripping on acid. Enough said. This is from M. Horg 2018. Left this in September 11th, 2022. A lot of other reviewers must be lightweights. Okay. Immediately, I know that this is somebody who probably likes Terrifier, and so their review to me already I don't care about. That opening means that they are somebody who wants to see people's guts being ripped out. This is somebody who is into gore porn. That's my assumption simply from that. A lot of other reviewers must be lightweights. This film is neither shocking or amusing. What it is simply exploitive trash. I would agree with that sentiment. The 70s coming on the end of the opening up 60s tried to outdo that decade. What? The 70s coming on the end of the opened up 60s tried to outdo that decade. No one was outdoing Night of the Living Dead, which did everything right and mostly like this failed. Did anybody else understand that? The 70s, I'm adding pauses to where I feel like they should. The 70s coming on the end of the opened up 60s try to outdo that decade. No one was outdoing Night of the Living Dead, which did everything right and mostly like this failed. Poor special effects with the worst blood ever. One silly situation after another. This uses one of the most overused tropes in film. The first is the bitter, insane Vietnam vet. This one uses Satanism. The group of baddies poisoned by a kid with rabies-tainted meat pies who, when he confesses, says, "Please don't tell Grandpa." Some conscience this kid has, huh? That's funny. Seeing people with their eyes wide open, foaming at the mouth, afraid to go into water is hysterical. But everything else about this movie is mundane and forgettable. I would not say that they are wrong in that statement. Again, this movie is simply out there for exploitation fans. And the fun thing about this is reading into the trivia. If you go into IMDb and look in there, and you will see a lot of fun things. And I enjoyed reading that. And a lot of these reviews, it's about the enjoyment and finding out that kind of information. I personally am not going to recommend this to anyone other than people who enjoy that type of film. If you have some kind of recommendation, don't send me. I'm not a fan of slashers. And in general, I am not a fan of movies where animals are really being hurt. So don't send me recommendations that have those kind of things. But if you have something that you think I should check out and we can discuss, please put that in the comments below. If you've seen I Drink Your Blood, what did you think? I want to hear your thoughts. Was it a 10 or is it a 1? Or did it fall somewhere right in the middle with most of us? I'm Judah. This has been Creepin' It Real. Thanks for watching. See you next time.